Hello everyone and welcome to the Gunpla Network. I'm the Spicer and today's unboxing of the Master Grade Aegis Gundam from Gundam SEED comes to you courtesy of those fine folks over at Canadian Gundam. Canadian Gundam is your one-stop shop for all things plamo and Gunpla here in North America. When you're checking their vast catalog and placing your next order, don't forget to use the promo code Gunpla Network to save yourself 10% off. Just like with the Buster unboxing, I want to use this unboxing video to talk about my preconceptions, my thoughts, my concerns, and just generally things I want to keep an eye out for before going into the build, so that I can kind of go through the process of what the build's going to be like for me, and maybe you guys can tell me if I'm wrong in the comments below. So I think that's just a little bit better way for me to talk things out versus looking at each individual piece. You'll still see that footage on screen, I'm just not specifically talking about each individual piece you're seeing. So my general thoughts going into this build. Well, after building the Buster and having that experience with the XSEED frame, I feel pretty good about it. Honestly, it's a very stable frame. I think even with a weird transformation like this, in mobile suit mode, the Aegis will probably be very stable at the beginning, and as long as you don't mess with the transformation too much, it will probably stay that way for a while. Now, I guess, we'll see once I actually get it built, but if it's anything like the Buster, most of the joints are pretty tight, and in some instances maybe a little concerning. But with a kit that does this kind of a weird transformation, that's probably a better thing than it is a problem. Now, the transformation in and of itself is always something that concerns me. Even with very simple Wave Rider modes, I concern myself a lot in two different areas with transformations. One, is it going to affect the stability of the kit in question? So is the mobile suit mode going to suffer because it can transform? And two, is the transformation fun? Most of the time, almost everything is a note on that second part, and I don't really expect this to be any different. Most transformations, well, yeah, it's cool, they have a different mode. I just don't really see a whole lot of benefit, honestly, in my personal opinion. It's a cool gimmick in show, but I just, the weird dedication to representing that isn't always a good thing. Now, for the Aegis, I don't think many people are going to fight me on that, because it's a weird transformation that not a lot of people are probably very into, unless you're wanting to recreate the scene where it grabs the strike. That being said, I think the XSEED frame does help it, but it is still a transformation that is probably going to affect the general overall stability of the mobile suit. Like I said initially, it's probably tight enough at first that it's not initially a huge problem. You may have some weird finicky bits, but I do think over time, if you transform it I don't even say semi-regularly, but fairly regularly, maybe once every couple months or so, it's going to wear out very quickly. That being said, I am pretty excited to actually build it. The transformation may be a little weird. It might make the build a little more complex than, especially the Buster, since the Buster is a very straightforward build, save the gun mountings and everything that aren't really that complex. They're just an extra thing that you kind of add onto the kit. I know kind of generally you're getting an extra set of legs effectively in the shoulders for that transformation, so how those connect will be a pretty interesting thing, and I think that it won't necessarily make the build bad. It'll just make it a little weird and a little standout-ish. I guess it's really not a word, but it'll stand out amongst probably a lot of the rest of the SEED high grade or master grades. So if you're looking for something a little different, maybe that's going to be a thing. I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below. I'll tell you in the review. I do really want this to turn out well. As much as I am concerned about the transformation, this is probably one of the coolest looking kits or designs from SEED. Having the beam sabers on all of the limbs is super cool. I love that idea. It definitely sticks with the Athrun Zala kick mechanic for whatever reason. And I always love beam gauntlets, whether it's beam tonfas on the unicorn, the Snanju, or the crossbone. series mobile suits, or I think the Age 3 for sure has the same capability. It has the beam saber that can come out of the forearm. That's just a really neat design idea. I really like it. I wish more mobile suits would adopt that, but this is kind of the only one from SEED, and I really think that's where I'm going to have this posed, as some kind of variety of using those beam sabers. The rifle's pretty cool looking, but I don't know that it's really going to attach all that well. I'm not too concerned as far as it's... Well, let me change that. I do believe I've seen some footage out there of the beam rifle not holding super well just because it's really long, and that doesn't work super well with the hand or the wrist. It is kind of an odd design. I do like the design. As far as like an actual physical representation of it, it kind of comes off a little wonky with how the arm has to hold it. But you know, a good beam rifle is always a solid thing to have, so I'm pretty excited about that. The shield is something I'm probably not actually ever going to pose it with outside of the review, so kind of take that as you will. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think many people are going to be too upset about that either. In terms of the coloration, I'm actually really interested to see how this turns out. I'd like to compare it against kind of the rest of the Athrun Zala stuff I have in my collection. So whether it's kind of more of the pinky red that like the Infinite Justice is for the Master Grade, or kind of the purpley pink color that the high grade Infinite Justice is, whether it's kind of that weird dark, very mute maroon that the Justice Gundam is, or kind of a little bit more vibrant red that the Savior was. I think this is going to fall somewhere in between those. I think it's probably a little bit more on the red side, but we'll see. The plates kind of look maybe a little bit pinker, but maybe that's just... we'll see once it's all together. Maybe once it's all in one piece, it'll look a little redder, but it's probably going to be a pink red. That's kind of always the gimmick with a design like this that's mostly all red. Kind of course, the callback to Char's mobile suits and stuff. So we'll see. I think it'll turn out good looking regardless. I'm just interested to see kind of what the coloration choices will look like once they're all together. But outside of that, I'm actually really excited. The Buster was a pretty pleasant build. It's very stable, it's very solid, and I'm hoping all that carries over into this with that frame. But let me know in the comments down below, is there something I need to look out for and be concerned about, or was this a very pleasant build for you? If you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them, and then of course, stay tuned for that review. You should see it hopefully fairly soon. Anyway, I've been the Spicer here with the Gunpla Network. Please, friends, stay safe and keep on building.